We've all got our own fears. From heights to the six-legged freaks! Our fears can range from the most irrational things to the most serious. With myself also being named TheFearRaiser, I figured why not take the time to reflect and take a look at some of the things that scare me the most as well. Now, I will be ordering these from least to most scariest, so be sure to stick around and watch the whole video to not only get the fear, but the facts behind it as well. So without further ado, let's just jump right into the video. Now, I feel like some of you might already be familiar with this fear, as I have stated it a few times in a video or two in the past, and over my social media, but I want to explain to you the reason behind why, just in case you don't know. And it's over a pretty scary reason. Growing up, I used to always enjoy riding on planes. I, in fact, used to go on a lot of family vacations to Florida, so flying was an obvious requirement to get around anywhere, and I loved it. Getting the passenger seat in any plane ride was the most incredible, exhilarating experience any kid could feel while traveling. Being so high above the clouds, being on top of the world, it was a truly mesmerizing experience as a kid. Not to mention going on vacation was the most blissful, exciting thing to experience as well, so it was just all around a fantastic time. However, in 2011, there was an incident that had happened to me, and it left me rather traumatized for quite a few years, and allow me to explain what that was. In 2011, I had gone on a school trip with my classmates to travel through Europe for 2 weeks. We first went to London, England, took the train to Paris, France, and then explored Rome, Italy. After 2 weeks of an amazing trip with my classmates, we finally had to pack up and head back home. So we went to the airport in Rome, took a plane to Switzerland, and then headed back to Canada. As we were flying back home, not even 2 hours on the plane ride, an incident had occurred, and I'll never forget this moment as it was the most unreal thing to witness. As the flight attendant was coming down serving drinks to the passengers, he had come to me and asked if I wanted anything to drink. I, of course, asked for Coca-Cola, and he began to pour it in the cup for me. As he began to pour the drink, the plane started to get some turbulence, and as he was filling up the cup, I remember the liquid in the cup moving around more and more without me moving my arm, all from the turbulence, to the point where it actually started flying out of my cup. The flight attendant had then said to me, "I have to go," and he booted it down the aisle along with all the other flight attendants, and then suddenly, our plane had dropped out of the air. It turned out we were flying over a storm happening in Ireland at the time, and the winds and turbulence were so intense, it had sent us dropping about 200 to 300 feet out of the air for a few drops. This was so intense that people around us on the plane were screaming, crying, and even throwing up. And as you can imagine, this was a very traumatic experience for me, and it led me to sheer panic and fear, as there was nothing that I could do. After about 30 to 40 minutes of absolute terror, we finally got out of the turbulence, and were on a steady flight path back home. However, this had all happened so soon when the flight still had more than 6 hours left. So you can imagine how scarring this all was after. Now, this fear is actually not as obvious as you think. I want to clarify here, and I'm not tooting my own horn or anything, but I'm a pretty good swimmer.
So, how do you like my swimming?
And this fear has nothing to do with drowning or anything like that. This fear has more to do with what's in the ocean. Growing up, my father was a sailor and a captain and had worked on the ocean most of his life. And with the fascination of my dad's job and the things he would do, I would often do research on the ocean and, of ocean life with fishes and all that exist, well, in the ocean. I, however, began to fear more and more about the things that lived in the ocean when I came across things that were pretty terrifying. And I'm not just talking about sharks here. We're talking fish that can camouflage and are poisonous to the touch. Fish with sharp teeth like barracudas, tigers, fish that can shock you and drag you down in the water, and even jellyfish. I just can't stand them. And don't even get me started on the things that exist in the deep parts of the ocean, because it is honestly nightmare fuel. Remember that scene in Finding Nemo? Yeah, pure terror. So as I learned more and more about the ocean, I began to, rightfully so, become aware and scared of the creatures that lurk deep in it. As we still haven't even fully explored our oceans yet, which could lead to the reality that there could even be more terrifying things that exist in there that we haven't discovered yet. But even so, it doesn't change the fact that the ocean terrifies me, and chances are I will never go swimming in the ocean anytime soon. Space. With the many wonderful things that exist in space and the universe, I can't ever help but dwell on the many terrifying things that are out in space as well. With the universe being so vast, so massive, and so chaotic, my brain just likes to take all of that knowledge we have of the universe and make me think of what could happen to us. Most people look at the stars in awe and wonder. But I look at the stars and think about the chances of a rogue planet coming from the blackness of space and colliding with our planet in an instant! But I mean, the stars do look pretty and all. On a serious note, I don't actually ponder constantly about death when I look into space, but the mysteries and chaos that occur in space do often leave me wondering a lot of questions. Questions like, will aliens visit us, and will it be a terrible thing when it happens? Will an asteroid hit Earth sometime soon? Will some sort of freak event occur that throws our planet or even Earth itself out of orbit? Or my favorite, will we ever be in the way of a massive quasar, which is essentially a massive beam coming from a massive black hole? But the possibilities of absolute destruction from space are endless, so I won't ponder on this anymore, as I'm probably worrying some of you. So let's move on to the next thing. This fear, I feel, is more of a common fear a lot of people have nowadays, but don't necessarily discuss it as a whole. We as people are capable of a lot. And when it comes to some people's mental health and substances of all kinds being passed around left, right, and center, we truly can never trust the people we meet in our day-to-day lives until we really get to know them. But that, of course, doesn't just happen with everybody. I'm not one to be paranoid about strangers, but after moving to a big city, I have seen quite a lot of things from day-to-day human interaction, and it has certainly made me uneasy on how some people can behave. From being unstable and yelling in the streets to being a cold, uncaring person, the uncertainties that can come from anyone you interact with scares me a little, because we as a species are complicated, deceiving, and can even have personal agendas, which make it all the more skeptical when meeting new people. I guess the fact that so many people can be completely fake to your face in a manner that is beneficial for themselves and deceiving and or destructive to you is more of a manner of psychological warfare, but the fear of that is still there. With all that being said, this leads me into my final fear. And the final thing I have to talk about with my top fears is, well, the fear of the unknown. There is something about not having the knowledge about something important during your time of cause that makes me feel a little uneasy. Like being lost in a forest you've never been in, or traveling to a country that has different ways of life and rules that you don't recognize. The feeling of the unknown that exists in our world amongst certain plants, and if they are poisonous, animals that are dangerous, and relating back to my prior fear with the unknown of what people could be capable of, makes me at times be a very cautious person. With so many conspiracies out there about things happening beyond our own backyard, to the government, big companies listening in on our conversations through technology, and even big secrets being kept from the public. These are just some of the many examples I could think of to add to this fear. Perhaps living in a big city has done this to me, since I've seen a lot of nerving things pan out on occasion. The truth is, there is so much in the world yet that we don't know, and a lot of that can be scary. But with that being said, guys, those are my top 5 fears. I hope some of these were insightful and made you think about your own fears. Which reminds me, what are your fears? I mean, I'm here talking about my fears, and I don't even know anything about you. Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to read them. If you did enjoy this video, though, guys, be sure to leave a like hit that subscribe button to be on top of my latest videos. And follow me on my social media. You know, on Twitter, it's at TheFearRaiser, and on Instagram, it's at TForJordan. You know, follow my shenanigans. But that's it for now. Again, I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll see you in the next video. Alright, guys. See ya!